Hi, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. Tonight I want to talk about third man syndrome, also sometimes called third man factor. And that's where an unseen presence assists someone in a time of extreme trauma. Climbers, shipwreck survivors, polar explorers, and solo pilots tend to be the group that encounter this third person. And of course, by third person, I don't necessarily mean it has to be the third. One of the instances I'm going to be discussing is where it's an additional fourth person, but like I said, it's even happened to solo explorers as well. This is a phenomenon that's been studied many times over the years, and there are some very interesting instances that I want to go over of this, and also kind of theorize about what this could actually be. In 1927, Charles Lindbergh was a pilot and wanted to fly 33 hours solo, non-stop from New York to Paris. Since it was 33 hours, he was struggling to stay awake, as I think anybody would be. But when he landed, he told people about his companions that kept him company on his flight. And he said they were very friendly and helpful, and that they conversed with him and gave him advice while he flew. 279 shipwrecked airmen and sailors were studied back in the 40s by a neurologist named MacDonald Critchley. While he was studying them, he was able to narrow down quite a few different stories of this happening, which he published in an essay. In the essay, it's called The Idea of Presence, if you wanted to look into that further. He did talk about an instance where there were two men stranded on a rubber dinghy out in the Atlantic. And in that small of an area, they saw a third person, both of them, while being on the dinghy together. In 1916, there was an instance where three men had to walk 36 hours to cross mountainous terrain to go rescue another group of three who were part of their team who were stranded at a whaling station. During this walk, they only had a rope and an axe to bring with them. But they were able to make it all the way to the whaling station, rescue the team members. There were no casualties. However, all three of the men who made the 36-hour trek all described seeing a fourth person along with them. They sensed the being, felt like it was just assisting them along the way, and all three of them said as soon as they reached the whaling station, it was gone. And none of them knew the other ones experienced this for weeks after it happened. And then once they did find out, they were so traumatized by it that they were like, this is something we don't talk about. Like, it just creeped him out to the core. Now that story has been referenced tons of times, and it actually is where the name third man syndrome came from, because a poet was trying to reference this story, forgot how many people there were, and instead of accurately saying fourth man syndrome, they referenced it as the additional third man, which is where it got its name. So, who's the third man? Who is this extra presence that these people are sensing along with them? There are theories that range from guardian angels to some type of like spirit guide or a god or godlike presence that's assisting them. Then there are environmental factors that may come into play. A lot of people have theorized that maybe by dropping body temperature and brain temperature, that it could be triggering some neurochemical reactions that could produce this type of presence feeling or even hallucination. A lot of these people who were stranded were in situations where their body temperature was dropping, so it makes sense why that theory would exist. There are also theories that blood glucose levels dropping too much could also be a factor in why this happens. It could also just be from being on the edge of sanity. These people are going through some very traumatic, stressful moments. However, it is important to differentiate that edge of sanity does not mean that it's some type of near-death experience. While these people were going through this, they still were very much alive. They were just under a tremendous amount of stress. I also thought it would be an interesting theory that maybe it's an entity of some type attracted to this level of stress that people are able to produce in these situations. Maybe it just is drawn to that type of energy and wants to assist these people in their journey. And that also kind of brings me to the fact that there have been many studies done in lab conditions where they are able to reproduce the feeling of a presence in a room. Essentially, they can take you through different steps to where you can sense a ghost when, according to this theory, there's nothing there. It's a completely man-made, triggered hallucination of sorts. But it makes me kind of wonder, maybe by going through whatever prompts they had to go through before they start sensing that, maybe that just changes their perception level. And they're able to see things that have been there the whole time, or sense things that have been there the whole time. Or maybe even that level of energy attracts something to their kind of feelings at that moment too, to where they're both aware of each other. I don't know. It's just a theory. It's kind of interesting. Whether you're leaning more towards the paranormal or the scientific side on what this could be, it's a super fascinating story, and no psychological or physiological theory so far fits with the field of the paranormal. All of the more out there theories, of course, cannot be proven either. So I'd really be curious to find out what you guys think about it, what your theories are, and if somehow any of you know somebody or have yourself gone through a third man experience. I would love to hear about it. So please give me all of your feedback and stories and what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much to Jason Riddle and all of my peeps over on Patreon. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for helping me to create videos for you here on YouTube. You're awesome. I love you. If you liked this video, be sure to give one of these. If you weren't so keen on it, you can do one of these. That's cool too. I don't know which direction it is on the player, but whatever you want to do. It gives me feedback so that way I know for the future, and it also helps the video to be able to be seen a little bit better. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you get notified every time I make a video on this channel. Thank you so much again for watching. I'm Kat, and this is Paranormal Kativity. Have a strange day. Bye!